Welcome to the HOC Pod. Jack Moore, Josh, Malcolm, Alfred, all with us. And boys, I'm excited to get this started. This is going to be a lot of fun. We have our first guest of our new show, the HOC Pod. It's going to be James Butler, running back for the BC Lions, currently unrestricted free agent in the Canadian Football League, still making his decision on where he's going to go. But this show, we're going to talk to players. We're going to give a different perspective on what the CFL is from a player's perspective. We have two guys on this show who have had experience in CFL locker rooms, so I'm really looking forward to it. Thanks for having me with you guys, because this is going to be a lot of fun.
No problem, man. Appreciate you for being the voice of this and co-hosting with the boys, man. It's going to be an awesome experience on this pod. Can't wait.
So I wanted to start today because obviously we're getting into this a little bit, but Nathan Rourke signs with the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's a big news story for the CFL. And of course, like, everybody spins their narratives on it. I think it's great for Nathan Rourke. He said that the CFL was an unexpected stop for him. He thought he was going right from Ohio to the NFL, but he ended up in BC. We saw what he did last year before he got injured. If he had played the whole season, I think he probably would have been the most outstanding player. He was the most outstanding Canadian in the CFL. What do you guys think about him signing with Jacksonville?
Kind of caught me off guard because, like, Jacksonville's already got like their QB of now and the future in Trevor Lawrence. So I was kind of expecting him to go to a team that has like kind of like a quarterback who's a bit more up there in age to kind of like help transition him in and the other quarterback out. But all in all, it'll be good for the league. It'll get like more looks from the American media, seeing that you have a Canadian kid coming down to Florida, and who knows, he could end up taking Trevor Lawrence's job, because like, who knows in the world of football, right? It's all a business, like you guys have said. But all in all, I think it's good for the league. As bad as it is losing a stud like that, it'll definitely bring a lot more exposure down south.
Yeah. Were you going to say something, Malcolm?
Yeah, no, I was going to say, I think it's great for the league. Definitely excited for him. As a player, when you see somebody set a goal, reach it, you're always excited for them regardless. So, him being able to get to that goal, that's big time for him, and kudos. So it's definitely inspiring to, I know, the rest of the league, to all of Canada, the younger guys. So rooting for him.
For me, honestly, when I saw that, I honestly thought it was, for me, I thought it was a great fit. Instead of, like you said, joining up with a team with the aging QB and then transitioning into a QB1. I just think the Jaguars, like the whole setup of the team right now, the coaching staff, and then him being able to compete with someone who is, the quarterback of the future. Going in and competing every day with him, growing and learning together. I think that would be perfect for his game and for his development, really, as a, NFL or, future CFL QB. Obviously he's already done his thing in the CFL, but just like for his future, I definitely think this was a great fit for him. And I'm excited to see what he does, or whenever he gets the opportunity to play, what I'm saying, like in the preseason. That's going to be something to look out for sure.
It was interesting, too, because the way it was reported initially was that he was going to go to a team where there was a clear path to being a number one quarterback, right? So a team with already a number one quarterback who, maybe hasn't played so well, or he was going to go to a team with an open quarterback battle at QB1. But I think at the end of the day, it sounds like he wanted to go where there was guaranteed money. So it sounds like his first year is fully guaranteed with the Jaguars. So he knows he's not getting cut. He knows there's a good chance of him being the QB2. What I really like about him going to Jacksonville too, how much is Trevor Lawrence going to play in the preseason, right? Not very much. So Nathan Rourke's going to get a lot of preseason film that can give him opportunities. So if a quarterback gets hurt later in the year, they can try and trade for him. If a team needs a quarterback down the line, maybe next offseason, they can try and trade for him, but he already has that guaranteed money from year number one. So I think that it was really smart for him. Like, it was more of a situation of him, like, I'm going to get my money, I'm going to get my film, and wherever the opportunity opens up, that's where I'm going to take it. Or who knows, right? Like, everybody knows you can get injured in football. Trevor Lawrence goes down, Nathan Rourke's there to step in. He still has to win the number 2 job in Jacksonville, and I have no doubt that he can. But I actually think that this is a really smart decision. When I first heard it, it didn't make a lot of sense to me, but it's because the way it was explained initially was that he was going to go to a place where there was a clear path to number one. I think a lot of the guaranteed money and the opportunity to get the film in the preseason was a big factor in his decision to go to Jacksonville as opposed to go to a team where he's battling for the QB1 spot. So not only is he trying to get his film, but so is the other guy who's competing for that spot too.
Facts.
So there's always going to be that comparison where there's no comparison in Jacksonville, right? It's a clear cut number 2. He's going to do his thing in training camp, do his thing in the preseason. He's going to get his money. He's going to be on the team. And if somebody wants him, they're going to come and get him. But what he did in the CFL this year was insane to watch. It was one of the more incredible things as a fan of this league to see a Canadian kid show up in the league, be that good at the position, right? Like you look at the mechanics of playing quarterback, you look at the reads, you know, being able to dissect defenses. Like he was just so incredible. So for me to see this happen, like it's crazy, man, that like there is now a genuine path for Canadian quarterbacks. Like for the longest time, like think about all the Canadian quarterbacks who have come through the CFL. And we're like, is this going to be the next Canadian guy? Is this going to be the next guy? And Nathan Rourke is that guy to set the standard like, hey, we can do this, right? Like we can develop a Canadian quarterback. He can go play in the States. He can go play NCAA, but there's a chance that he can come be a superstar in the Canadian Football League. And I think that's awesome.
A superstar he was.
Next piece of news, Bo Levi Mitchell signs with the Hamilton Tiger Cats, and Josh is pretty excited about this one. I don't think there's a ton of surprise here, right? Obviously, Hamilton proved that they wanted him when they traded for his rights. Like, you don't do that with a pending free agent unless you're intent on completely bringing him on the roster. But Hamilton now gets that security at the quarterback position. Right, they had Jeremiah Masoli and Dane Evans, and there was a back and forth, and then Masoli goes to Ottawa. Dane Evans is the starter. He doesn't have a great year. Schultz comes in and plays a little bit, but now they have their true number 1 quarterback, and now it creates sort of an interesting piece because where does Dane Evans go now?
I feel like it's kind of been already reported that it's like Dane Evans to Sasquatch is on. You've seen Dunk talk about it, and then I don't know if you guys watched Bo's introduction podcast, but like Coach O was kind of like flirting with the line that for now he's a tie cat, so like you know that a move is coming. So I just feel like Sask is the best option because they kind of made it clear that they don't really want Fajardo back, and he's probably they're one of the only teams that would probably like need a QB other than
I can't imagine that Saskatchewan, like Fajardo would want to go back to Saskatchewan. Like the way that the fans have dealt with it, the way that the organization's dealt with it. Like, I really don't feel like Saskatchewan is in the cards because now, like with Bo, because there was a thought in Saskatchewan, oh, we're going to get Bo Levi Mitchell. And, you know, whether fans wanted it, whether they didn't, you know, it is what it is. But now that they don't have that option, right? Like, who are your options at quarterback? Like, who still needs a home? And it's Dane Evans and Cody Fajardo, right? So, you know, maybe McLeod Bethel Thompson, if Toronto decides to move on, like who knows what's going to happen there. But at like, we don't know what's going to happen. And now there's this sense of like, okay, well, maybe we test our luck with Cody Fajardo again. But if I'm Cody Fajardo, the way that I was treated at the end, I don't know if I want to do that.
It's kind of like,
does he have another option?
It's true. Like, if he wants to be a starter, like where else are you going to go to start? Right? Everywhere he goes, he's probably going to need a competition.
The only way it makes sense for Fajardo, other than like a CFL, like going to the XFL or the USFL. But I don't think that the CFL would want to lose guys like that to a league other than the NFL.
Right. So it's a tough situation for Saskatchewan. It's a tough situation for Cody Fajardo because now your options have narrowed, and it's because Hamilton was aggressive and they went out and made that trade, right? Like their front office said, hey, we're in this. We want to go get Bo Levi Mitchell. We want him to be our quarterback. And that move, I think, really helped getting Bo Levi to sign that 3-year deal as opposed to testing free agency. And then our last piece of news that we got here, Geno Lewis last night posted the Allen Iverson clip talking about being the MVP, about the team game. And it's pretty clear that the relationship has fizzled between him and the Montreal Alouettes management group, and that he is going to test free agency. If I am one of the 8 other GMs in the Canadian Football League, I am immediately calling his agent and asking what he wants. He makes every team better, right? Like name a team that he doesn't make better in the Canadian Football League right now.
Facts.
You can't.
There,
You can't.
there
Yeah.
isn't.
You can't, right? So if I'm a GM on one of these 8 teams, I am calling his agent right now and asking what the price is, right? Whatever the negotiation window is, whenever we can start negotiating on price and term, I'm giving it to Geno Lewis, right? Like this is a guy, like he's a top receiver in the Canadian Football League. He makes every team better. Like even BC with all the weapons that they have. We're talking to James Butler in a little bit. We talked about the weapons that they have on offense, but you look at Geno Lewis, he would fit in perfectly there too because they have so many weapons that they could add to the roster. Then you look at other teams who need a number 1 receiver, right? Look at all the teams who could use a number 1 receiver. I just think that if you're a GM in the CFL and you're not even kicking tires on him, it's a tough one to sell to your ownership group or your fans because he genuinely is a game changer just on his own.
Like, I feel like he's a receiver who doesn't have 50-50 balls. There's a ball in the air, he's coming down with it. Like
80-20, 90-10. Yeah,
90-10.
exactly.
99-1. Like that guy, like when Montreal's in town, you just like, and they're down and it's like the last minutes of the game, like, you know, the ball's going to Geno and he's catching the ball and you're going to go home sad because your team lost because it's Geno
I made
Lewis.
a lot of money on Geno Lewis over receiving yards last year. Man, like I don't understand. Like I get it. Like a guy's been in the room long enough and you know him long enough and sometimes like over time like relationships strain. But at the same time it's like who are you going to replace him with? Like there's not a guy that you can bring in immediately that's going to make an impact like him.
Man,
like
let the Canadian boys fly. Man.
Well, and that's the other thing. Like I was kind of I felt that way about Montreal throughout the season is like whenever you would give the ball to Phil Pott, he would do something with it, right? But they never gave him the ball. So maybe this is their way of saying, hey, we want to see what our younger guys have had. But clearly there's like this disconnect between Geno and Montreal. And if I was an Alouettes fan, I'd be pretty upset about this because Geno Lewis is one of those top tier guys in the league.
Wasn't Jake Weineke an all-star as well?
He's a free agent as well also.
Okay. Oh, he's a free agent too. So
yeah, they have a lot of receivers actually free agents. I was looking at it last night because we were recording our emergency bulletin because of Bo signing for Eaton and Raw. And like they have like Weineke, Mayala, Geno, like they have a lot of key receivers.
Yeah, I don't think Hergy's gonna sign back.
Who is the highest paid who's the highest paid receiver right now? Do we know?
Lawler.
Oh yeah.
Like,
just fresh off that bag.
Right?
No, he's 300K, I think.
3 something. Yeah, okay.
So, like, do you think Geno gets more than that on the open market? Do you think a team that doesn't know him hasn't? I think he deserves it. Yeah. But sometimes there's that view on it from management of how a guy leaves, right? So like, you know, there's that common quote where it's like, don't judge somebody on how they treat you on your way in, but how they treat you on your way out. Mm-hmm. So like, yeah, that's the case for Montreal, but there could be other teams looking at this and like, hey, if this is how it ends in Montreal, yeah, he's a great player. Do we want that to eventually happen here? Now, sometimes GMs don't even think that far because they're saying, I have the job right now. I'm not going to have it in 3 years when it goes south anyway. So I need him right now. But there's that aspect to it too. So would a team be willing to shell out top tier, you know, highest paid receiver in the CFL for a guy which this is the way he's going out? And we don't know the full story, and I'm sure it's going to come up in free agency when teams talk to him. You know, I'm not saying it's a Geno Lewis problem, but it's definitely something to consider. But I do agree with you, Malcolm, that I think that this is a guy who 100% would deserve being the highest paid receiver in the Canadian Football League.
Pay that man.
Hey, if the Argos wanted to make him the highest paid receiver in the CFL, I would be more than happy. Come on in, Geno. Come on in.
They gotta pay KG2 first.
The water's nice in Southern Ontario.
Yeah.
They gotta pay KG2 first, man.
Yeah, actually, yeah. Take care of Curly. Then we'll get Geno. It's my guy.
Yeah.
I'm a big Jack. You know what? And I think too, like every team, there's so many moves in the CFL because the contracts are so short, right? Like everybody signs 1-year deals, 2-year deals. So like it feels like you look at it and the whole roster's coming up in free agency. And so now when you have a situation like this, is Gino going to have a ripple effect on how those other guys want to sign in Montreal, right? So Hergy Mayala, right? If Gino's coming back, I'll come back. And then Gino goes and he's like, well, I don't want to go back if Gino's not coming back. So does that have an effect on Montreal too?
That's a good point. I think definitely it depends on the relationships and stuff like that. But I know maybe from a perspective, if you feel like, the staff and the management are treating this player this way, like the way you don't like, it could definitely have an effect. Like, damn, you did my bro like that. Like, I don't want to be here or something. So you never know, right?
If that's how you're going to treat our best player, how are you going
Yeah,
to treat me?
exactly.
Right? Like if that's how you're going to treat wide receiver number 1, how are you going to treat wide receiver number 3?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Or like you could look at it from any position on the team. If that's the way you're going to treat our best offensive player, how are you going to treat, our starting will linebacker? Right? How are you going to treat a defensive tackle? Right? Everybody can kind of look at it and say the same thing. And it's interesting because Danny Machocha already caught a lot of flack at the start of last year, right? Because he made the coaching change so early and stepped in himself. Now he's got Jason Moss coming in, who had a bad end in Edmonton. So now if you're a free agent, are you saying like, hey, this has kind of been, every turn for Montreal, this hasn't been fun, right? Like Machocha was under fire. Like, yeah, they made it to the East Final, but like Machocha was under fire at the start of the year. And then now, he hires Jason Moss, and the way it ended in Edmonton, do guys want to go play for him, right? So it's just all this effect that's going to have. And now Gino Lewis has kind of put his foot down and said, I'm out. I'm going somewhere else. And I think there's 8 other teams, 8 other fan bases that would be more than happy to bring Gino Lewis into the fold.
For sure.
Where do you think he goes, Alfred?
Hamilton.
Everybody's signing Hamilton.
I mean,
Yep.
BC before the season, they try to throw 300. They try to sign Kenny Law for $300K as well, even with that stacked receiving core already. And they just lost Brian Burnham to retirement, so I could see BC making another run at him.
Because Gino was VA in Montreal when Gino was there too, right?
Yeah.
So they know each other, and BC's already come and said like, "Hey, VA is our guy."
Yeah, so
if they like each other, that's another like a relationship that could get a big signing for BC, right?
Yeah, and a lot of the guys in Montreal, when VA got, he got traded over to BC, a lot of those guys were outspoken about his character and how much they loved, being VA's teammate. So I definitely think, Gino in this little hardship he's going through at Montreal, he's definitely want to go to a place that, there's a comfortability, a little bit of, familiarity with their QB. So I definitely think BC is an option for him, or whoever signs. If he signs somewhere else, maybe he wants to go play with Trevor Harris too, So I definitely think that's a possibility for him. But yeah, I think he definitely wants to go somewhere and win as well. So that's definitely it's probably at the forefront of his brain too. So
free agency coming up, it's gonna be interesting to see where all the pieces land, because your favorite team probably is gonna look quite a bit different than it did last year, and we're already starting to see it with guys saying, "Hey, I'm not coming back." We got James Butler coming up right now. He's a running back, played for BC last year, had an incredible year. Started the year 4 touchdowns in the first game against the Edmonton Elks, and he was an incredible talk to. So we'll get to that interview right now. Here's James Butler, CFL running back. We now bring in James Butler to the show. James, thanks for joining us, being our first guest on the HOC Pod. Thank you very much. Running back, BC Lions had an incredible start to the year last year. 4 touchdowns in the first game. How did that feel just coming out of the gate? You guys blew out Edmonton. You came out of the gate 2 rushing touchdowns, 2 receiving touchdowns. How good did it feel just to come out of the gate early in this season and get things going on the right foot?
It felt great. I feel like nobody expects that. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't expecting, nobody else is really expecting it. So it felt good to kind of show everybody, because like obviously it was like a little coming out party for me, but it was a coming out party for Nate. You know what I'm saying? It was a coming out party for our entire team. So I know a lot of people weren't expecting much from BC, going into the season. So it was really good to come out in a huge crowd. You know, that was the concert day, so it was a huge crowd out there. You know, BC Place was rocking that day, so it was dope.
Yeah, you guys had the massive crowd. It was a sellout at BC Place, and then you guys show up like that. Like it just to get the season started so well
Yeah.
must have felt really good. Now you're in the off season. You're in Chicago right now. What does your off season routine look like at this point of the year?
Man, so right now I just started back like probably always try to started back right before Christmas working out again, but mainly just getting my body back right from a long season, you know what I'm saying? But I picked up a couple new habits. So I really all I do is like work out now, but like part of my morning routine right now, I just started putting up I saw like ice plunges going crazy on TikTok. So I decided to start that. I gave myself a goal of I want to read a book a month. So I'm actually 3 books in, so I'm kind of like front loading right now because I know like training camp and all that. I know I'm not gonna be able to read as much as quick. So
What have you read so
and
far?
the
Sorry
books
to-
I've read so far, now you good. The books I've read so far. I started with Tough from it's like a Terry Crews like biography like of his life called Tough, like finding the true power of toughness. And then I read Cry Like a Man by Jason Wilson. And then I read A Mountain Is You by Brianna Weiss. And now I'm reading The Yamas and Niyamas by Deborah Adele. So that's
What
book
is
number 3 right now.
what is
Huh?
that book about? What is that book about?
Which one? The
Yamas
the
of
ya- the Yamas, the Yamas and the Niyamas. It's like everyone always asks that. It's so weird. I felt like I was watching a podcast like on YouTube, like probably it was so long ago. And all I remember was bro was he was talking about like you have to give things back to the universe. Like you can't, expect to hold on to everything. And he said this book is from the Yamas and the Yamas, and I had no idea what it is. And just him saying that one thing, I went and bought it on Amazon. But it's pretty much it's like the guidelines of the yogic practice. So like yoga, but it gets more into like it breaks it down to like 10 guidelines. There's like 10 I wish I had my notes with me. There's like 10 yamas and 10 niyamas. And so the first niyamas I'm reading about is pretty much like the foundation is called like non-stealing or not it's non-violence. And it just breaks down non-violence. It's like courage. And like I remember the part I can remember right now off my head because I just read it like yesterday. It was like be watchful for nice people, like to be nice versus being real, because being nice is like an illusion. You know what I'm saying? Being nice is kind of like what you wrap up. It had this really cool. It's like this one person. Like it says, for every person, I wrap myself in this perfect box. I feel like I'm just rambling, but I don't
No,
know.
no, keep
No,
This
going,
you're
keep
book's
going,
good.
keep
You're
fire.
going.
good.
But no, but it says like the first person was like, for everybody, I wrap myself into this perfect box and present them to them. And then another person was like, I'm a different person for everybody. And my biggest fear is that everybody will be in the same room and I won't know who to be. So those are like the 2 different
Yeah.
like parts of like being nice. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like it was like being nice versus being real. Being real is like being real sucks. Like it's hard, you know what I'm saying? And it's not easy and obviously not a lot of people like it, but it's trustworthy. You know what I'm saying? If someone's real with you all the time, that's a person you can trust. That's a person like that's not just that's looking out for your best interest, but also like might hurt your feelings, but like at least you know that like they're not just like, giving you, you know what I'm saying, just a bunch of fluff. So that's when I really like the Yamas and the Yamas. It's crazy because I've been reading like a bunch of self-help books. So I was like, maybe I need to switch it up, you know what I'm saying? Cause but this book has been like really on my list of reading ever since I got the Cry Like a Man books. I really want to read Cry Like a Man because my homie told me about that. It was a really good one, and it was really good. But yeah, so Yamas and Yamas. But I think after this self-help book, I'm gonna try to go like financial literacy. I got Rich Dad Poor Dad. I've heard really good things about that.
Classic.
Yeah, that's the classic one.
That's a
My
classic.
my favorite is The Alchemist. That's like
That's a
that
good
goes
book.
crazy. The
That's a
Four
good
Agreements
book
is
right
really
there.
good. I read that one last year. But yeah, man, I've been on this book hype. I remember I just started the Yamas and I saw a book on Twitter was about like love. So I went and bought that one. Then I got The Power of Now. I heard that one's a really good one too. So I just got that one. I got like 12 books on the tuck right now. I'm like a book hoarder.
And now, are you like a physical reader? Like, do you read the books
Yes,
like physically, or you
yes,
don't use the
yes.
iPad or anything like that?
Nah, I can't, cause like I feel like I get enough off social media being on my phone. You know what I'm saying? Just like
Right.
trying to sit and watch, like look at a book and read a book on a screen. I feel like I just sounds terrible for my eyes. Or even like audiobooks. I can't really do audiobooks because like if I did an audiobook, I would need to be doing something else and I wouldn't be able to like, you know what I'm saying, really focus on what it's saying. And for most of my books, I like to like sit there and take notes with it too. So like kind of and like to underline and highlight stuff and like, hey, like if I ever get back to this book, like I like start to like reread. I just really like I want one day I want like a really fire library. My books aren't
Yeah.
gonna my books aren't gonna be the best to like give away because I write so many notes in them. But like I mean, if you don't care about that, then it doesn't really matter. But yeah.
So, like, when you make your notes, are they in the book physically, or do you have like a separate
Uh-huh.
notebook that
So
you keep?
I write little notes in the book, but I have a journal too. So that's what also I do. I journal. So like my morning routine right now is like I try to wake up, I hop in the ice bath, the first thing I do, and then I let myself warm up, and then I meditate. I walk my dog Snoop, and then I'll journal, and then I usually won't have time to read because that's a while. I'll eat something, go work out, and then I'll come back and I'll try to read instead of like, cause like I love TV, but like if I can, you know, saying get off TV or get off social media for a couple hours and get into my book, cause like it's the hardest part is just like starting to read. But once I start reading it, next thing I know, like I'm like, you know, 10, 12 pages in. Cause I think the Cry Like a Man book, I read it in like 2.5 weeks or 3 weeks or something like that. And that was the fastest I've ever read a book. Like usually it takes me read the book like 2 months. So it's been pretty cool being able to knock these books out and get so much free game.
JB's library is going to be half books that he's read and then half books that he's written based on the books that he's read. Like
Nah, for real.
that's gonna be sweet. Like that's gonna be the best library to have, where you can go like this half. It's like, yeah, this is all my stuff, and then that's all
Yeah.
the stuff that I read.
Literally, like I've probably gone through like 3 or 4 journals now because I'm just like trying to like rewrite the book in my journal.
But that's good too, because you're doing it through your mind, like your perception, your takeaway. And then when you talk to people about like that same book, like you have your notes on it, but then they have their perception on how they read it, right? Because
Yeah.
like somebody puts information out there, and it's so fascinating how different people can like take away information, right? Like like we can all 5 of us hear one piece of information, and we can all take 5 different things away from it. Right. So like it's and then that's like goes back to your point about like the being nice and being real, where you know sometimes you have that like, I got to be nice to this person, I got to smile because I'm in a situation, whether like it's a
Yeah.
job or whether it's, you know, a social gathering. But then like if you're being real with somebody, you hate that because you want everybody to like you, right? Like we have this
Yeah.
innate feeling of being liked, and I know Alfred's like feeling this answer too. But like it's so true because, you know, everybody wants to be liked by everyone. We don't want to have people not like us. Like I know my situation. If I see on Twitter after games that I call and people are like, this guy
Yeah.
stinks, you know, like I'm just like, oh, I'm the worst broadcaster in the history of the world. But at the same time, it's like, you
Exactly.
know what? If I feel like I ddid well and did my job, who cares what, Brittany 1278562 thinks, right?
Nah, 100%. Like and they had this really cool quote. I found it on my phone. It said, "A lie would make no sense unless the truth felt like." It said, "A lie would make no sense unless the truth felt it was too dangerous." So like then it just goes to why lie? Why are we afraid to hurt someone's feelings, or afraid that we told the truth we would not be liked or admired anymore? So yeah, it's like we all have that innate feeling of just like wanting to be accepted, wanting to be liked by everybody, but like sometimes you got to give people the real, and then like and I just feel like the day and age we live right now, people don't want to hear the real. People want to hear what they want to hear. They want to hear the fabricated version. They want to
Ear candy.
hear. Yeah, they want to hear what's gonna make them feel good.
Yeah, the sugar coated stuff that'll make them feel good about themselves.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, they want to put the filter on. They want to get the likes on Instagram, and they want everybody to tell them how awesome they are. But nobody wants to hear that this is how you can do better. And it's so interesting because I feel like, you know, when you're in a football situation, like you're in a film study, like a lot of people who watch the sport, love the sport, talk about the sport, have never been in a situation where they've been in a film room where that film comes up and you had a bad rep
Oh
and you
my
get
God.
Yeah.
absolutely torched.
Oh
Like
my
Yeah.
just the
goodness.
feeling of sitting, especially when it's in like a big team meeting. Like it's one thing when you're in like a running back meeting or you're in a
Mhm.
DB meeting or a D line meeting, but when you're in front of the whole team and everybody can see like you're the one person who didn't do their job on the rep, and that coach
Yeah.
just starts laying into you. Like there, and it's like this helpless feeling where you're just sitting there, but like I feel like that actually helps you in situations of being real as opposed to being nice because you're getting that feedback, right?
Mhm.
Nobody's sugarcoating this for you. You got to do your job, and somebody's telling you that. So it's literally a situation where you can take that from what you're reading and put it into your professional football career.
100%. You know what I'm saying? You just gotta. I try to use that in my friendships. You know what I'm saying? Like obviously, like everyone wants to be accepted by their friends. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to be that friend that's like the Debbie Downer, but you also, you know what I'm saying? You want to be that friend that like, hey, like I'm gonna give it to you straight up, but I want you to give it to me straight up. Like if I'm not
True.
doing right, yeah, you know what I'm saying? If I'm not doing right, like tell me about myself. And if you're not doing right, I want to be able to tell you about yourself. I don't want to be that friend that has to like kind of walk that fine line. Like, oh, if I say this, our friendships on the rocks. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that's the difference between real friends and people you just associate with.
Yeah, it's so true. And like even so like when you take this information like over the course of the season, like you've talked a little
Mhm.
bit about being mental health and the reading and trying to keep your mind right. How do you do that, especially like a CFL season that's 21 weeks long and then you got playoffs and it's crunch time and there's a whole city that's watching everything you do. Like how do
Mhm.
you try and disconnect from everything that happens on the field and all these people watching your every move to just
Mhm.
try and get back to a right place mentally because it can be a pressure cooker for a lot of
Yeah,
people.
it's tough, and that's why I like I saw people always look at me crazy when I say like I read Terry Crews books, but Terry Crews actually has like a crazy story. Like Terry Crews was a Midwest kid like me. He went to Western Michigan. He played in the league for a little bit. Then he started acting, and it's all these things that go into being a professional athlete. Like it looks glamorous. Like obviously on Instagram, I'm gonna show you my best self. Like you know what I'm saying, and then during the season it looks great.
The
But
most
it's just
fire
like it's
picks.
yeah, you know what I'm saying. It's just so many. It's so much more. Like we're like real people. You know what I'm saying? Like you're beat up week 4 and on. You know what I'm saying? And out of 18 games, and it's just like you're winning games, you're losing games, you're competing every day. You know what I'm saying? You're competing against other grown men. You know what I'm saying? You're competing against the best of the best every week. You're getting everybody's best every week. And you know what I'm saying? There's gonna be ups and downs, ebbs and flows. And that's why I feel like the meditation, the reading kind of like takes me out of it and like puts me like in the back seat. You know what I'm saying? And just because I think when it comes to the Terry Crews book, he had a really good point talking about like when he was shooting a movie, it was great because it's like glitz and glamour. You know what I'm saying? He's in this city, he's in that city, but then when he's back at home, he's kind of like doesn't really know who he is. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like that those lights are off. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like when a player like goes from being a player to like working in a job for 8 hours. You know what I'm saying? That transition is tough. And I feel like that too sometimes. That's why like I started the ice tubs because it was like I went from like, BC Lions starting running back, boom, 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 you know what I'm saying, doing so well, you know what I'm saying, having great games in the playoffs, you know what I'm saying? The Lions haven't been in the playoffs since 2016 or whatever, you know what I'm saying? All of that, all the accolades, all the, you know what I'm saying, the license, the glamour and all that, then just going home, back to Chicago, not doing anything, you know what I'm saying, just working out. No one's watching,
Hmm.
nobody wants to interview me, nobody wants to talk to me, you know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? So it's just like a matter of learning how to balance, you know what I'm saying? To balance of both. Cause like I know that like that love I was getting in BC is awesome, but I can't like, you know what I'm saying? I can't like that can't be like my purpose. That can't be like what like gets me up in the morning, you know what I'm saying? So it's just a matter of being able to balance and knowing just like taking it one day at a time, one step at a time and being present. Like during my time in Vancouver, like I loved it. Like I was completely there, had the best time. Like some of those teammates will be like, my best friends till like, to my last day. And like now it's just a different, like it's just a different animal. Now, you know what I'm saying? Now I'm attacking my offseason even more because I saw like what my offseason last year was able to provide for me this season. So it's like, okay, if I work even harder this offseason, maybe I can have an even better season. You know what I'm saying? That's always the goal to try to what can I do to improve now? Like I saw what I did last year, but I saw there's a bunch of things I can improve on. There's a bunch of things that I did well. But now I'm gonna take that into this offseason. Like, okay, those things that I improved on, like, can we get those better? Then those things that I was lacking, can I get better in those offseason? So it's just like a matter of just being present. You know what I'm saying? I really like this quote, like being where your feet at. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, as long as I can just stay minded, stay grounded. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like full of these like weird quotes, but it was like this person's like, I wish like my life was just kind of like just even. You know what I'm saying? Just like I wish my highs weren't so high, my lows weren't so low. And then they compared it like to a heart monitor. They were saying
Yes,
like
I knew it.
a heart, you know what I'm
I
saying?
do it.
Compared
I do
to a heart
exactly what
monitor.
coach.
You feel me?
Nice.
Like I don't know why I know all these weird quotes, but he was saying like if your heart monitor was just straight, you know what I'm saying? You flatline, you gone, you did. So you know what I'm saying? You gotta have the highs and the lows. So that's what I'm really trying to take. Like, you know, my highs are highs, my lows are lows, but I just try to stay even keeled through it all.
That's amazing.
That's such a good way to look at it.
That's a great way. And I knew exactly what quote you were about to mention because I watched that video too.
Yeah.
And it's been going around a lot lately, around on my For You page or whatever you want to call it.
Mhm.
But you mentioned something that I wanted to touch on. You said be where your feet at.
Mhm.
And that's something that I heard personally a lot when I was like in BC, especially because a lot of the guys on the team when I was there, there was their first year playing in the CFL, and a lot of the guys, you know, you go to the CFL, you just want to get right back to the NFL or
Yeah.
wherever you want to be, you just don't want to be in Canada. And
Mhm.
you know, sometimes that is detrimental to your career, and you never get
100%.
to the place you want to be at, because of, you know, you're not where your feet at.
Mhm.
So, you know, your breakout season this year, was the difference between this year and last year you kind of like getting more comfortable in your
See,
role?
like exactly what you said. Like those guys that were stressing about being where your feet at, like that was me in 2019 when I was in SAS for training camp. Cause I had just, I don't know if I mean I like try to like wipe this memory from my life because like that was that was a tough time for me. But like, so I just left the Raiders my first year. I just got let go. Then that's when SAS called like, hey, do you want to come to Canada? I'm like, you know what? Whatever. I'll just go to Canada real quick, you know, play a couple games and come back down. Like that was my goal, like in SAS. Like, so that whole training camp, I remember it was me and Mora. We were both competing for that spot, but they had just signed William Powell and they had Marcus Dickson. So they had some really good backs in SAS. But so we were competing for those spots, but I just wasn't well like mentally. Like I wasn't mature mentally because I was just so like, I'm gonna just get here. I'm gonna, you know what I'm saying, get my film, play a couple games to get back down, like get back down to the States. You know what I'm saying? But like obviously it didn't work out that way. I didn't make the team. And like that was definitely one of my most humbling experiences in my life because I was like, wow, like I can't make it up in Canada. Like it might be time for me to do something else. You know what I'm saying? But then like obviously growing, maturing. You know, luckily I ended up, you know, re-signing with the Raiders and then doing all that thing, doing all those things. But just coming back, like getting an opportunity to go back to Canada. So my first year at BC, I just really took it as like, hey, this is a great opportunity. Let me take it one day at a time. Because even my roommate, Reggie Corbin, who's doing this thing in the USFL now, like he was kind of like how I was when I was my first year at SAS, just like, bro, we just gonna go up here, we're gonna do our thing, and we're gonna go down to the States. And I just remember like telling them like, yes, bro, I understand. Like that's 99% of Americans, like, you know what I'm saying, go when they first get to Canada. But like you gotta understand, like, these dudes ball too. Like these, you know what I'm saying? These dudes ain't just here for no reason, you know what I'm saying? There's good players here too. But we have to, like, this is our opportunity at hand. We got to focus on this opportunity we have right now. And that's the most opportunity we have right now. We can't sit here and be right here today, but focusing on what's going to happen next year, what's going to happen, you know, 3-4 months from now. We got to figure out, you know what I'm saying? We got one day of practice. We got Indy, we got team, we got meetings. Let's focus on Indy, team, and meetings. Then, like, once we like, it's because it's funny enough too. Another quote. Eric Thomas, like he's a motivational speaker, and he was just saying like, he was just as a motivational speaker, he was just like his head down, head down, head down. And then he just looked up one day, he's like the number one motivational speaker. And that's how I like to work. You know what I'm saying? I just like to keep my head down and work. And I just feel like whatever's gonna happen is gonna happen no matter what. You know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna get exactly out of it. Whatever I put the work in, that's what I'm gonna get out of it. So I feel like when it comes to this past year in BC, like yes, I was a lot more comfortable in the role, like in the offense. Like it was a lot of continuity. It was a lot of second year guys playing their second year. It was a lot of the same guys, so that was nice too. But it was just it was just being more comfortable going into training camp more comfortable because I'm just like a stressed kind of guy. Like I'm always just like somebody trying to take my spot, somebody trying, you know what I'm saying? Somebody trying to take something from me. That's just how I operate. But this year I was just like, you know what I'm saying? Let me just go be the best version of me. I can't sit here and compare and contrast because it's so easy to do that as athletes, compare yourself to other guys. But it's like, I'm just competing against myself every day. If I can just get better every day and be the best version of me, I'm gonna be a better teammate. I'm gonna be a better, guy in the locker room. I'm gonna be a better running back. So this year is just a matter of me just being more comfortable, having a little bit more skin in the game. It's crazy. I was talking to Malcolm about it the other day. We were talking about how long my career is. He's like, "Bro, you're really a vet." I'm like low key. You know what I'm saying? I'm so used to being, a young guy, but I'm just trying to do my best to I guess be like somewhat of a vet. I'm still not used to that title, but yeah.
It's so interesting too, because like so many guys are like that, where they're like, "Hey, I want to play in the NFL. Like, I want to play down in the States,"
Mhm.
And then like you hear about guys who like don't take the CFL option, and they're
Mhm.
selling cars, or they're working in an office, or they're doing whatever. They start their own business, and then
Mhm.
like 2 or 3 years go by, and all of a sudden they're
Yeah.
not in football shape anymore. So like, do you want to get paid to play football right now and still
Mhm.
keep doing this, or are you past that? And for most guys, like they're not done playing football. Like they still feel like they have a lot left on the table. And it seems like, you still feel like you have a lot left on the table. And, it's kind of feels like you still carry that like chip on your shoulder because,
Mhm.
like you bounced around before, you got to Saskatchewan, you bounced around and then you go to the XFL. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you went to the XFL. It got canceled because of COVID. Like it must have
Mhm.
felt like nothing was falling your way after leaving school. Like it's like, I
100%.
got cut here. I didn't make it here. I didn't go here. I go to the XFL. It's looking good. Boom, COVID hits. And now all of a
Mhm.
sudden, like, what am I gonna do? Right? Did it feel like when the XFL shut down, did it feel like that was the end of football for you? Like,
Yeah.
did that ever cross your mind? At least, like maybe not like you fully thought you were done, but did it ever
Uh-huh.
cross your mind like, hey, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm like I might be done.
100%. I thought I was done after Saskatchewan, to be honest. I thought I was done after the Raiders cut me for the fourth time. You know what I'm saying? I'm always just like when is I don't know when the next opportunity is gonna present itself. I hope it does. But for me, it's like I'm gonna be prepared when it does. I always said like if I went a full calendar year with no football, then like okay, maybe it's time for me to, what I'm saying, to look a different route because like you said, like I know just personally from playing in the like the advice I give guys, like yo, like that college film only lasts so long. Like you got probably a year to a year and a half of that shelf life of that film, but that film's gonna expire, man. They want to see something else. You know what I'm saying? They want to see you against different guys. I try to tell young guys that who are like trying to just like play the waiting game, but I know what the waiting game is too. It sucks. You know what I'm saying? You're just sitting at home, you're working out every day. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, you're getting odd jobs or real jobs and trying to work out and stay in football shape. But there's no any of us who play football, there's no workout that's gonna compare to a football practice. Like there's no workout that's gonna compare to, live reps at practice. You know what I'm saying? You can bench 300 pounds every day, all day. You're still gonna be tired, in your third, session of practice. So it's just a matter of getting back out there. But yeah, it's that has definitely always crossed my mind of when the XFL happened because I feel like the XFL like stopped and it was doing so well. It was so much fun. It kind of like it brought my love back for football. Honestly, I always say like that was kind of like a life changing experience because I remember just being super young. This is gonna get dark. Being super young, but when I was with the Raiders, that was probably like the most depressed I've ever been in my life. And what's crazy is like on paper, that was like the best time of my life. That was the most money I was making. Like obviously from the outside looking in, I looked great. Like I was with the girl I thought I was gonna marry. It was a bunch of factors like from the outside looking in, but like mentally I just wasn't well just because like I was so focused on outside forces. Like it was, does this coach like me? Am I doing well? Like I'm working, you know what I'm saying? I'm at practice every day, but then I'm seeing them work out running backs, but I'm like not healthy. I'm fine. So it's like, why are they working on running backs? What am I doing wrong? You know what I'm saying? So it's just a constant of just like trying to impress someone, not knowing what I'm doing wrong, not really doing anything wrong, doing everything right. But just this stressor on my shoulders that like I didn't really know how to handle as much as I know how to handle now, which I like, you know what I'm saying? But like then like I just football is my entire life. Like that's what gave me my purpose then. And like if football was taken away from me, like I was just gonna be in such a dark place because like I just wouldn't have known like who I was. But now just learning more about myself, learning more about like my purpose, what I have to offer. I never want to get to that space again because that was a tough space to be in. So I try to put guys up on game on that too. Like yes, this football like it's great. It's an amazing opportunity, but know that like this game doesn't love you back. Like, you know what I'm saying? You can be here and gone the next. You see the top guys in the league, you know what I'm saying, get let go and shuffle around. So it's just like you gotta be smart and you gotta, like Marshawn said, you gotta protect your chicken. That might mean money to some people, but for me that means your mental.
Right. But it's so true though. Like you look at Michael Riley in BC, who was your quarterback last year, right? Like as soon as it starts, like he was so great in Edmonton, everybody loves him. He's this amazing quarterback. But as soon as it starts to fall off a little bit, everybody like that love for him is gone. Right.
100%.
Like it's what can you do on the field for me now? So that ability to get it back, I think is so impressive that like you can go through all that. Cause a lot of people coming out of college don't understand the business of football, right? Like it's a business, like, you know, all these GMs, all these coaches, like they're trying to protect their jobs too. Cause they're making millions doing this. And if they do a bad job, they're not going to get the next one. Right. So like they're trying to go through that business of the game. And unfortunately you're just a pawn piece in it when you're a player. Right.
100%.
And so for you to get that love back playing in the XFL, like obviously it would have sucked to have it end, but then you get the chance to go to BC and all of a sudden, you know, you get back into that starting role and now it's like it seems like you're well on your way and off and running here, but like you still carry that with you that like I remember where I was in 2018, 2019, but you know, now I'm not going to let that happen. I'm not going to let them take that away from me, even though it's not everything to me. You know, it's still, I still want to do this. I'm not letting that being taken away.
Yeah, I feel like all football is opportunity and timing. Opportunity and timing. You know what I'm saying? There's plenty of guys that can play. You know what I'm saying? But it's are you there at the right time? And is the opportunity there? I feel like I kind of got at BC at like the perfect time. You know what I'm saying? I was kind of like rode that wave of just like, you know what I'm saying, they're kind of going in a different direction at running back and like just kind of like I kind of stuck around. You know, some guys got hurt and I was able to stay healthy. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of that. Like, is the guy hurt at this time? You're gonna get your time to your shot. So it's just opportunity and time because there's plenty of guys that probably could play, that can play, that are sitting at home right now, but just like their opportunity and timing was just a little bit off. And that's the worst. That's the worst part about this business. You know what I'm saying? It's only one ball.
Alfred's pointing at you because Alfred feels like that guy. We literally had this conversation last week. Alfred and I had this conversation last week. Like Alfred feels like that guy where just like the opportunity and the timing just didn't work out for him. And unfortunately, and like it's something that you don't realize until you're through it, that it's like, oh, 100%. This is the business of football. And then you talk to anybody who's played and it's all kind of the same story, right? Like everybody wants the, you know, the big like Nathan Rourke story, but even Nathan Rourke comes across and he says, hey, I got a chip on my shoulder. Like he said in his going away message on social media, he said it was an unexpected stop. Like he thought he was going right from Ohio to the NFL and he comes to the CFL, and that doesn't mean that he doesn't like the CFL, but he still plays with the chip on his shoulder, but everybody sees him as this huge success story, but that's not the perception he sees in himself. Like he still gets caught up in the business of football.
Yeah, look at a guy like Nate. You know what I'm saying? Nate behind Mike Riley, who's a future Hall of Fame CFL quarterback. You know what I'm saying? And then Mike Riley goes down and Nate comes in and does well and then struggles a little bit. You know what I'm saying? And that's when people were kind of surprised when we just gave Nate the keys. Before the season. They were like, I don't know, you know what I'm saying? But Nate took advantage of his opportunity and his time. You know what I'm saying? Got to learn behind Mike. And then Nate knew what he was able to do, and we knew what Nate was able to do. So just he took advantage of his opportunity and time, and he crushed it. And you know what I'm saying? It's no better person, no better guy that I would rather have that happen to. And he's so young. You know what I'm saying? It's opportunity, timing, and youth. Like if you got youth too, like you got the golden ticket.
Young, available, and cheap is like the big thing I always hear. You go through trying to be a broadcaster. They're like, "Oh, you're young, available, and cheap. You'll get opportunities."
Yeah, see, that's life.
JB, I have a question about since we were talking about Nate. When you said everyone knew what Nate was capable, did you ever predict that he would be, Kid Canada coming out there slinging 400, a game?
There had to be a moment on the sideline, like in the second or third quarter, where you looked up there and like, yo, this guy's really fucking doing this right now. Like, like we're really fucking doing this, like on day one.
Yeah, Nate Brady. Yeah,
Nate Brady.
I would say he's so. I mean, you got to think like Mike was hurt a lot of the season, so he didn't practice a lot. So Nate practiced with us the entire, that entire year throughout the week. And Mike will play like not practice like that Thursday or Friday, 2 or 3 days before the game, and then go play in the game. But so Nate was dicing up at practice. You know what I'm saying? Then he's got his big QB motion coach that shows like, you know what I'm saying. But what I remember most about Nate the year prior. Every one of his balls was a bullet, like every single one. Like just like it's gonna hurt your hands. Like put your gloves on if you're gonna warm up with Nate. But then I just remember the year after it was like, oh, he kind of took something off of it. You know what I'm saying? He's not trying to kill me with every ball. But yeah, it was definitely just like I would say it was probably the first game, and then just like we just kind of knew after the first game, like yeah, Nate's like that, you know what I'm saying? And he can do this, and he's been waiting for this opportunity. It's the first opportunity. He's prepared. Like, nobody prepares more. Always compare because me and Nate both wear, like, this, like, Whoop band, and he's, like, on my team. And, like, I think I work hard at practice, but, like, he crushes me every time. He plays quarterback. I play running back. You know what I'm saying? It's like –
that's crazy.
Nate's running suicides.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Bro, I told this story last week to these guys. I'm like, bro, I knew Nate was different. After every single practice, this man was running gassers. I'd be on like the Sky Train going to like somewhere. And it's Nate just running back and forth. Nobody in the facility. Nate just running back and forth. I'm like, this dude's a freak. What's going on?
You know what I'm saying? For real, like we get it, Nate, but like he's just like no one's asking him to do that. You know what I'm saying? He's not there to be watched by anybody else. But that's just how he works, man. That's how he comes to work every day, and he's consistent in that. It's not like it's just like he's gonna do it the first couple weeks. Now he's doing that every single week. Every practice, like he's getting after it.
Yeah, hey, that's good to see. Like, so that's good to see because it's really like you hear about these guys who have success, and they put in the effort behind closed doors. Nobody sees what they're doing, but he's doing this, and then he has all this success. So guys on the team can look at him and be like, "Hey, I gotta step on my game too, right?" Like you talk about wearing the bracelet. It's like he's beating me out there, so I gotta up my level because I'm not getting beat by a fucking quarterback. Are you kidding me? Like, I'm not letting a quarterback outwork me in practice. You talked about him throwing the ball and like how he would throw it so hard in 2021, took a little bit off in 2022. When you first showed up to the CFL, like in Saskatchewan in 2019, did you see it like an opportunity for yourself, not only as like a true running back, but because you're so good at catching the ball out of the backfield, did you think like, hey, there's a real opportunity for me to show off my complete skill set because, I'm really good at this. It's a more open field. We're allowed to use motion. Like, am I able to do this and really get things going and prove my worth? Like, did you see it as an opportunity of like, hey, this game actually might be a little bit better for my particular skill set.
Yeah, 100%. Because I felt like I kind of always got put in a box that's like just like, the sticker, like, downhill back that, like, you know what I'm saying, just put him behind a fullback and the I formation and just run, inside zone, outside zone, power and ISO. So it was definitely cool to see like the spread out field, the opportunity to, to waggle, to run routes. It was tough because it was 3 down, so I knew it wasn't gonna be, running the ball 30 times a game. But I think that it was cool because I've always really liked James White from I think it's James White from the Patriots. I don't think he's playing anymore. But I
He
always
just
like James
retired,
White. Yeah. I really like James White, so I always like to compare myself to obviously like Christian McCaffrey, those guys, you know what I'm saying, that could do it all, Ivan Kamara. So it was definitely a great opportunity to show that I can catch the ball, but just me being like me, it's always been the more you can do. You know what I'm saying? Like I never wanted to be able to be a liability on the field. You know what I'm saying? If it comes to blocking, running, or catching the ball, like I just want to always be able to do all those things, exceedingly well. So that was always my goal, to just try to prove to people that, like, if you want me to catch the ball, I can catch the ball. You want me to block, I'll block. You want me to run, I'll run. Like, just like whatever it takes to get on the field, to make this team, to get on this team, like I'm gonna do it. You know what I'm saying? So that's always been my biggest goal.
Alfred,
I remember.
yeah.
Oh yeah, no. I was just gonna say. I remember last year when I was playing in Calgary. I was on kickoff. I look up and I see JB, and I'm like, I remember telling you, I'm like, bro, the price got to go up. Playing kick return and running back, like the price got to go up. So yeah, I always thought that was pretty impressive.
Whatever it takes, man. Like I said, I don't do a lot of complaining because I just know how special this opportunity is. You know what I'm saying? It's for me, it's just like I remember being at home, wishing I had opportunity. You know what I'm saying? I also know that, like, with this opportunity, there's 30, 40 guys that look just like me, that run just as hard, that might be a little bit faster, a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger, that want this same opportunity, that wants this same shot. So, I gotta go do whatever it takes to secure my job. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, it's a job, and it's a what can you do for me right now business. You know what I'm saying? What can you do to stay on the field? What can you do to help this team win? And just me, it's always like, I love my teammates, like my brothers. So like whatever it takes, like to win a game, I'm gonna go do that.
Okay, so I want to circle back here. We were talking about, we opened up with your 4 TD performance. Is that the most you've ever scored in a game?
Yes, even elementary school. I think I might have scored 3 touchdowns in high school once. But yeah, that was the most I've ever scored in one game.
Speaking of the 4 touchdown game,
and a half.
I do want to thank you for winning my fantasy lineup that week.
Hey,
I started you 4 TDs. You won me that week, so it was nice.
I appreciate that.
Anybody with a James Butler anytime touchdown ticket was very, very happy.
Oh man, I remember I had Dominique Grimes whenever he had like 3 TDs. Oh boy, that money came in so fast. So fast.
Yeah, honestly, like how did it feel having all those weapons on one offense this year? Like it just felt like, we can hand the ball to James, we can throw the ball to James. Rourke's gonna drop back, he can take it himself, or he can throw it, and we got like 4 receivers who can do it out there. Like it really felt like an all-star team. So like it must have felt good to have that, but was there a little bit of like, hey, like I want the ball more than this guy? Like, did that ever come into effect, or was everybody pretty good on like, hey, what we're building here is something special?
Everybody, I mean, just being alpha males, you always want the ball, but just like it was fun to be. It was just fun to be on a team where, like, say you weren't getting the ball that much, but this other guy's going crazy, and like that's your dog. So you know what I'm saying? It's you know what I'm saying? Lucky's doing this thing. Hatch is doing this thing.
Hatch.
Rhymes is doing this thing. Couture's doing this thing. You know what I'm saying? Mackey was doing this thing. So it's just like it was like a bunch of things. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like when I got knocked out of in Toronto, Mackey came and damn near ran for a honcho in the second half. You know what I'm saying? Like, he hurdled a dude. Like, you know what I'm saying? Mackey's hurdling guys.
That was wild.
I know, right? You know what I'm saying? So it was cool to see, to have all this like firepower. Because I remember for me, it's like I knew like star power, Lucky, Rhymes, Roy, you know what I'm saying? So it's just cool to just be like a small piece of that. But it was fun because you had to play us honest. You know what I'm saying? Like you had to play us honest. You know what I'm saying? They could do it. And even when VA got in there, he could do it. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like it was a special offense. I think 3 guys caught for over 1,000 yards. I ran for over 1,000 yards. I don't know about CFL offenses, but I haven't seen that many yardage from at least from one team and as many years as I've been in it.
It's like Montreal, like back in the day, like the end of Anthony Calvillo had like S.J. Green, and I forget the other guy. Ben Cahoon. But like none of them, I don't think they went for 1,000 like each ever in one season. Like it was like they had like really good offenses, but like I don't think it ever got put together like that. Like it was just like every time, like I would always stay up, right? I'm in Toronto. So, you stay up late to watch the BC game, and I would watch every BC game because I know that there's going to be a minimum of 80 points put on the board combined because you guys are going to put up 50, and then we'll just see if these guys can get into a shootout with you. Just because, like, and then even if like you went 2 and out, it's like, all right, well, next drive they're going 75 yards for a touchdown because like that's just how this offense is built. Like it was just it was insane to watch. And then you mentioned Mackey comes in and you got a fullback coming in and running for 100 yards. And it's like, like, can anybody miss? Like, can we put Mario Villamazar in there next? And then like he'll go for another 100. Like it was insane to watch.
And the golf celly afterwards too.
The golf celly, man. That was probably the best part about this year was the celebrations.
For sure.
That was, you know what I'm saying? I feel like we really took. I feel like nobody else was really in their celebration bag like we were. You know what I'm saying? We really brought the variety. We had
there was just so much to celebrate.
Rockets. It was the Rockets, the Worm, the row in the boat, the golf celly. I didn't get to be a part of that. The gorilla celly. Like we had a bunch of celebrations. Like that's why that's how I was surprised in that Edmonton game. I had no celebrations prepared because I was just like, I'm just excited to be out here. You know what I'm saying? Like I would just get to the end zone and throw the ball in the air or jump in the air. You know what I'm saying? But after that game, I was like, let me have some more confidence in myself. Like after I score this is what I'm gonna do, or this is what we're gonna do. You know what I'm saying? So you just kind of gotta manifest it. So
I think the best part too was that every single time someone scored, everyone else on the team was looking at them to see what the celebration was, and then everyone's like doing it right after. Like Hatch was the best at that too. Every time someone scored, Hatch was like right there, right after doing the same celly, and it's like everyone followed after. It was dope. But did you guys at practice ever like decide like this is the celly for this week, or is it just like you just have a long list of cellies that you tried?
It's usually like that walkthrough day before the game. It's like, all right, after we score, this is what we're going to do. Because I remember I had my one celebration. It didn't turn out the way I needed to turn out. I had like the Butler celebration. No one got it. No one understand. We were just all too much of in the huddle. It was against Winnipeg. We came out in the gunmetal jerseys. And I put my towel on my arm and I serve Hatch the ball and he spiked it, but it didn't make no sense. Like it had to be explained. Anytime you gotta explain a celebration, it's not the one. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah. So that was the one celebration. I was like, I probably could have explained this better to the guys, and it would have turned out better. But other than that, yeah, we usually
that's a good one.
Say
like now that you say it, like I get it. And I kind of want you to do it again now that we know. Like, all right, now we know. Yeah.
Now we get it. Now put the towel in there, serve the ball, the Butler. Yeah.
Yeah. No, like that one makes a lot of sense. I'm kind of pissed that we missed that. Like for us not to pick up on it. Like just to watch it and not get it. You got a Nevada jersey behind you. You're wearing an Iowa Hawkeyes shirt. You went to both schools, of course.
Yes.
Why does Iowa's offense suck so much? Like
Iowa's offense,
they were terrible, and they've been terrible. What's wrong? What's the answer to Iowa's offense from a guy who played there?
So that offense has been run there since I can remember, and it's gonna be run there. And I just feel like for an offense, being so bad and them still make a bowl game and them still have made bowl games. So I think like 10 out of the last, or like they want to say 12 out of the last like 14 years. You know what I'm saying? That's just Iowa's offense. I feel like they were just missing some intricate pieces. Like, the offensive line wasn't as dominant as they usually are. You know what I'm saying? They usually have like a first rounder on the offensive line, like they did the year prior. You know what I'm saying? They're still kind of figuring out the quarterback, but yeah, I mean, I feel like Iowa will shake back. You know what I'm saying? Everyone has a down year, but like we talk about the offense being bad, but they continue to make these bowl games. They continue to be, one or two games away from being in the Big Ten championship game. So it's just like they can't be that bad. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
Either the
yeah, I
defense is really
agree.
good.
Yeah, like
or-
defense is really good. Like I think they won a game like 9-7 this year, or like 8-7 against like South Dakota State, and it was like,
That's
all right,
Big Ten football.
yeah, but like at one point they were ranked number 2 in the country, and they had an offense that was putting up like maybe 24 points. Like as an alumni and as like an offensive alumni, is that something that you want to see pick up? Like, hey guys, we gotta maybe modernize this a little bit.
I feel like that's
like how involved are you still with like Iowa and connecting with people there?
So so one of my best friends, he just graduated, so he's not a GA anymore. So he was the GA there for the last couple of years. So I still go to a bunch of games, but I just think like that's just Iowa. Like Iowa isn't known for being Ohio State and throwing the ball 50 times. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna beat you, 14-7, because they're gonna hold you to 7. They're gonna score 14 points, and like a win is a win. You know what I'm saying? A win is a win. If that's how you gotta grind it out, you know what I'm saying? That's just the Big Ten. I personally, I don't see Iowa, spreading the ball out and doing all that. I just feel like, you know what I'm saying? It's Iowa football. It's how they play. It's how they win games. It's physical. They're gonna run 2 tight ends. They're gonna have a fullback in there. They're gonna have a great running back. They're gonna have a really good offensive line, and they're gonna have a quarterback who's a really good game manager. But if they have a quarterback that's like a game changer, like I think Iowa could be one of the best, in the country if they find one of those quarterbacks. Like when I forget who was George Kittle's quarterback. I forget his name. I was CJ Beathard. Like he was really good when he was there. Or me when I had what was my quarterback's name?
Did you have Nate Stanley?
Nate Stanley, you know what I'm saying? Nate Stanley was a dog. Cause I'll never forget. Right? I'll never forget.
Study.
He was a Vikings draft pick, so like I just knew that off the top of my head.
Okay. Yeah. It's the home team. Okay.
And whatchamacallit, but like I'll never forget my most memorable game at Iowa was that Ohio State game where we put up 55. You know what I'm saying? That was the same offense, same offensive coordinator. You know what I'm saying? So like. It's capable. He just needs the weapons.
Right. That's fair. You know what? Like it's so weird that you go from like Iowa, which is like this school where it's like it's well known. It's like, hey, we're gonna go 8-4. We might win our division. We might win the Big Ten West.
Get close.
We'll play Ohio State or Michigan in the Big Ten title game. Like there was a real thought this year that Iowa could have gone 8-4. If they went 8-4, they could have made the Big Ten title game. And like imagine if they made the Big Ten title game and beat Michigan. Like you kind of got to put the Big Ten champ into the playoff. 8-4 Iowa, playing against TCU in the semifinal. Like that's something.
I think. I believe I was at the game where Iowa needed to win to like secure their number 1 spot. Cause I believe it was against Rutgers. Me and my best friend was there. Funny enough, my other best friend, every Iowa game he's went to, they've always lost. So like I remember they were starting to lose in the halftime. I'm like, bro, you gotta leave. Like you gotta leave
out
the
of
stadium.
here.
For real. But they end up losing that game. But yeah, like Iowa's always close, but you gotta think like Iowa is known for playing Michigan, playing Ohio State. I want to say it was like 2016 where they played number 2 Michigan, and Michigan came to Iowa when they lost. Or when we played Ohio State was like number 3, came to Iowa and lost. You know what I'm saying? So Iowa is like one of those teams that is sneaky good. You know what I'm saying? They're not just gonna let you beat them. You know what I'm saying? Like you're gonna have to earn it. And then like, but yeah, this year the offense was a down year, but they still went to, they're still in it to win the win the Big Ten. So it's just like even a down year, they still find a way to win.
How do you
so
think USC and UCLA are gonna fare in the Big Ten? Like, do you
I
think
just
it's gonna based on the way you're talking, it sounds like you're like the Pac-12
it's just
ain't
like
ready for this.
you think UCLA wants to come to Minnesota in November. I don't want to go to Minnesota in November. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and it's right there.
I'm a Midwest kid. You know what I'm saying? It's just like do they even have enough cold gear in UCLA for a game in November in Minnesota or Wisconsin? I mean, I think they're gonna do well just because they're good teams. I think they're gonna be obviously gonna be coached well, but it's just like it's gonna be interesting to see like both spectrums. Like, you're Wisconsin, you've been playing in 2 below weather for the last 3 games. I can go to UCLA and play in 60-degree weather, you know what I'm saying? But they're also going to be spread the ball out and throw the ball 1,000 times, something you're not going to be used to. But it's going to be interesting. I guess it's just going to depend on once you get late in like those October, November months, like how are those teams going to, fare out when it gets colder. And Wisconsin's coming with 2 tight ends, a fullback, and just running the ball, or Northwestern, who's never bad, but never is gonna kill you. But like Northwestern, who almost beat Ohio State this year. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just what the Big Ten is. A Big Ten's a bunch of like good teams that like can beat you at any day. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like Purdue,
Right.
like Purdue's always sneaky good. Like they're never just gonna like roll over. They're always gonna be a tough team. They're always gonna be well coached. So that's really what the Big Ten is. So I'm excited to see how UCLA and USC compete against that.
Favorite CFL stadium to play in that wasn't BC Place?
I really like Hamilton. Hamilton was nice. Hamilton, yeah.
Easy win. Easy win.
Love
Yeah,
that one.
Hamilton was fire. So
Hamilton loves you.
And Hamilton reminds me of the Iowa colors, you know what I'm saying? The black and yellow, man. So Hamilton was fire. And that was the year after where we stayed out there for like a week. So that was
I
nice.
was not on the team at that point.
Oh, sorry.
Not on the team at that point.
Saw the move, man. My bad.
No, it's cool, man. It's cool. It's really not that. That's the one thing I regret, or the one thing that hurts the most is I'm from Toronto, or from Ajax, which is in the greater Toronto area, and I never got to play in like Hamilton or Toronto. I got cut right before that, and that was like, man, all I needed was that, and I would have been like, content with my life. But you still chase a dream. But anyway, this is not about me. But back to you. I'm gonna ask you a question right here, since we're talking about favorite things. Like, who is maybe one of the hardest players you've had to play against, or one of your favorite players to play against, or maybe a guy who you see on the other side of the ball and you got to know where he is at all times. You know what I'm saying?
I like to play against Jameer, honestly.
Thurman?
Jameer. Yeah, because me and Jameer, we work out together every day in the off season. Like that's who I'm competing against in the off season. And then it's just like so funny playing him in the games. Like it's so funny because like when he tagged me, I'm like, come on, Jameer, man, let me you know what I'm saying? Let me shake a little bit.
Yeah.
Or like
maybe missed that one.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It was one time I would call like a swing pass. I tried to cut back. He's like, you tried to cut back on me? I'm like, yeah. He tried to cut back on me. Or it was one time where he like, it was so funny. He VA slid and then he pushed VA and VA like flipped over, you know what I'm saying? Kind of sold a little bit. And he got a roughing the passer. And I'm like, he's a hothead. Like, it was so funny. But yeah, playing against Jameer is definitely one of my favorites. I like to play against I forget bro's name, but he's on Hamilton too. Knox.
Jovan Santos Knox.
Yeah, he's fire. He's really good. I really like playing against him too. He's dope. But yeah, probably those 2 guys. Those 2 guys I like to compete against for sure.
Like, is it fun when there's a linebacker on the other side who like isn't letting you do your thing, like when you're out there and you're trying to shake them and you can't, and then they're like,
Yeah.
okay, it's gonna be me and him all day, and I gotta beat him on the next rep. Like, do you get frustrated by that, or do you like get up and it's like, all right, give me the ball again because I'm gonna beat him this time? Like how do you approach those? Like when you get like a Javon Santos Knox on the other side of the
Yeah.
ball, and you got to win that 1-on-1 to get an extra 10 yards.
It's a fun opportunity. You know what I'm saying? It's just like I feel like even like with Jameer, like Jameer is my dog, but then on game day he's number 56 on Calgary. You know what I'm saying?
Nice.
Like you
Right.
feel me? Like that's my guy. We'll go to dinner day before the game. You know what I'm saying? If I'm in Calgary or if he's in Vancouver, and like I said, like we'll talk throughout the week. But then like it was so funny. Like when we were playing Calgary the first time, and at Calgary, and I wasn't going. I didn't tell Jameer I wasn't gonna play, but he also didn't tell me he wasn't gonna play. So we both got to Calgary, and he was like, "Well, you not playing?" I'm like, "No." So you not playing? I'm like, "No." It was just so funny because like, and everyone was like, "Y'all didn't tell each other y'all weren't playing. Like, why aren't you like?" Or like Jameer told me, he was like, "Why didn't you tell us like Butler wasn't playing?" He was like, "I don't know." And then like all my homies like, "Why didn't you tell me Jameer wasn't playing?" I'm like, "I don't know. Like I didn't like we don't. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna get the keys to the you know what I'm saying, to the robber. You feel me? But yeah, I think it's just a matter of it's kind of like a chess match. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like Marshawn said, everybody gonna get got. Like every linebacker's probably got me, but I feel like I've gotten more than I've gotten got though. So it's just a matter of like just playing chess and like I said, like when I play those guys, they're just jersey numbers. I'll try not to look too much of who they are, but I know they're all great players. I'm saying I know they're all bigger than me, so I'm just trying my best to do my job, man, and not give them a clean shot on me.
What are you
I
listening
got
to
one.
on game day?
Oh, my bad.
Oh no,
No, go
hit
for it.
him.
Go for it.
You hit him. What you got?
I was gonna say we're asking all these favorite questions, favorite this, favorite that. What's your favorite thing to do in Vancouver? I gotta plug the city, so.
My
Yes,
favorite
sir.
thing to do in Vancouver, man, is like I feel like when it was hot, I love to go to like different just low key beaches. I really like West Van, love
You at the
North
new
Van.
beach?
I went to Wreck Beach. I went to the nude beach for the first
That's
time in my
crazy.
life, and that was an experience. I was not nude myself, but that was an experience for sure. I felt like I was somewhere in Europe somewhere. I felt like I went down them stairs and went to a whole different world. But yeah, I love the beach in Vancouver. That's probably my favorite thing to do out there. So much outdoorsy things to do that I'm just not used to doing out here in the Midwest. You know what I'm saying? So many mountains, like the ocean's right there. I almost died one time. Funny story. So I
Sounds
didn't
hilarious.
know what tide was, what time, you know what I'm saying? Like rising tide, high tide, whatever. Feel me? So it was this one beach. I forget what it's called. I have it in my notes, but it's like a beach, and then it's like rocks, then it's like a big rock. So like I was like, oh, let me just go walk to like the big rock over there and like chill up there. So I'm just there reading my book, doing my meditation, and like I have
Oh,
like
that
my
sounds
headphones. I have my headphones on, but I had like the transparent mode on. Luckily, not the noise cancellation. But so like it was like these like group of kids like above me. They were just chilling, and then there was like another group of girls. And then I heard the group of girls tell the kids like, "Hey, I think we should get up out of here. Like the tide's kind of getting kind of high." And I was like, "Oh, time to go." Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I wasn't with them. They didn't tell. Nobody told me. I just heard. So they're kind of sick for that, but it is what it is. So I get there, and like you can't see the rocks. Like you can't see the rocks where you walked on. Like it's covered in water. Like you can see some of them, but you can't really see them. I can't swim, so like
Facts.
it's like I'm thinking it's my last day. So unfortunately I'm letting these girls set the path. Like I'm letting them go first. Wherever they step, I step. And I just remember like holding on to these rocks for dear life. I get to the beach finally, and like this one dude was like, "First time here, huh?" Like,
He spotted you from like
yeah.
he spotted you a mile away. He's like, this
They're
guy.
they're just laughing at us probably from the beach, like looking at us, like holding on to these rocks for dear life. My like legs cut up, bloody from like holding on to these rocks so hard. Yeah, it was
Wait,
an experience though.
hold on. What exactly is happening? Like, what is happening? Like
I was hitting rocks because I couldn't see the other rocks. So I guess like I was holding to these rocks so hard, like I scraped my leg. I couldn't feel it till like I actually got to the. I wasn't worried about that right there. You know what I'm saying? I'm worried about survival, getting
fight
to
or flight,
shore.
you know?
Yeah.
So is this like
yeah.
in season? Like this
This is
happened like
It's a bye week. It was a bye week.
oh, it's a bye week. Okay.
It was a bye week. Yeah, it was a bye week.
So James, how was your bye week? I almost died.
Yeah.
It was a life or death experience. But you know what I'm saying? That's what makes the man. That's what makes the man. I was telling Malcolm, like we're going to San Fran for my birthday, and I was like, I want to go skydiving. You know, like
Oh,
I
that's
feel
so
like
fire.
we should go jump out of a plane. Like I want to look death in the eye and not die. You know,
I would love to do that.
Have you ever done it?
No, like that's one of the
I've
things
done
that
it before.
like that's one of the things I just want to do so bad. Like I'm afraid of a lot of things. I'm afraid of heights, but I just want to go skydiving. Like I don't even I don't even there's no fear about that. Like until I'm in the plane and I'm looking at the world below me, there's no fear. There's no fear of me for that.
It's different. I'm afraid of heights too, but like what is fear, man? Like everything everything you're scared of, like there's so much greater things on the opposite side of fear. You know what I'm saying? Like you know what I'm saying? You're never gonna be great just staying in your comfort zone. You know what I'm saying? It's always being uncomfortable where gets your most opportunities to grow. So yeah, like whatever I can do that I'm afraid of and doing it anyways. That was also one of in the yamas and niyamas. So it's like you have to let yourself be afraid, then do it anyways. You know what I'm saying? So that's gonna be a big affirmation of mine this year.
Did you ever do Grouse Mountain?
I did it my rookie year at BC. So funny. I would go to so many places by myself. So I went to the suspension bridge, and then I was like looking on the maps. I'm like, oh, Grouse Mountain's right there. I might as well just go do the Grouse grind while I'm here. Like no preparation, no nothing. Like I had like dunks on, but I'm like, I'm just gonna knock it out. I heard it's only an hour. I'm just gonna knock it out real quick. It was like probably like 5, 6 o'clock. I started going up it. It started getting dark outside, and I'm like, I don't want to have to walk down this mountain when it's dark. But I didn't know. It was my first time. Nobody told me there was a gondola. I didn't know about a gondola. I remember I met this old guy. His name was like Mechi or something like that, and he was moving. So I'm like, all right, bet he's gonna set the pace for Grouse Mountain. And this dude was like 70 years old. And when I tell you, I would have to sit down and be like, yo, Mechi, like, he's like, no brakes, James, no brakes, no brakes. And I was like, all right, for sure. And then finally, I just let him go. I let him get on. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna come back. So I think I got to like 3/4. I turned around and I walked back down because I didn't want to. I walked back down. I didn't get all the way up though.
Oh, you didn't know.
I didn't get all the way up. I was like, nah, I'm not about to walk back down this mountain in the dark. So, and my phone was dying, and I was like, is it even worth it to get up here and not have no pictures? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Did
Like,
it even happen? Did it even happen if I didn't get pictures of it?
You know
I'm
what?
gonna get up there and not flick up.
I think we went the same day. Now that I remember.
Yes, y'all went. Y'all was there. No, that's the funny part. If I didn't see y'all, I would have been stranded because I didn't have no phone. I didn't know how to use the bus system. I couldn't have gotten an Uber. So funny enough, that was such a funny day because y'all had all went and I was going up and I'm just like walking to this bus station. I see like Alfred, I see Boom, I see Steph. I'm like, what are y'all doing? I see Jay. What are y'all doing here?
Now that I remember, we did go the same day.
And y'all were
and you was like, in dunks for real.
Yes, and I was in dunks, and I was like, bro, I tried, I quit. I walked back down. Luckily, I found a job because I didn't know how to use that bus system. So yeah, that was such a funny day. But that was my Grouse grind experience.
Grouse grind was the hardest thing in my entire life. It's the hardest thing I've ever done.
Yeah, I want to try it, but yeah, but that's the thing. Like me, when it comes to hikes, man, like my hikes got to be like a max 45 minutes and nothing crazy. Like I wanted just like a really cool view.
That's not a hike.
Chill hike. I'm not a
that is not a hike.
That's a I don't even know what is it.
They call it the Earth Stairmaster or whatever. Dude, it's
Oh,
like
good.
the steps are like chest high. Every step is chest high. Like
That's
nuts.
crazy. Yeah, I didn't
Nuts.
get that. I didn't get that high up.
Malcolm, you ever did the girls grind?
Yeah, I think I did it once or twice. Like it's hard as hell. I didn't run it, that's for sure. I went with the mindset that I wasn't even running it anyways. I'm gonna
Run
walk
it?
Yeah, like even no, I didn't. Some
Dude,
people
you know
run it.
people that ran it?
Yeah, bro, like the Vancouver Canucks, some of the sports teams out here, they run it in like under an hour. And you'll see them just like sliding, just going up.
That's crazy.
Can't do that.
That's crazy, bro.
I got a question for you. This offseason we did lose a CFL great with Brian Burnham retiring. What was it like playing around him with your first 2 years in the CFL? I feel like that's somebody you'd probably love to just pick their brain.
Yeah, nah, Burn was dope. Like I feel like I've played with some definitely some CFL greats, but Burn was just like a great guy. He was what I learned most from he's just was just a tough dude. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like break his hand and still be out there. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like break his rib, be out for 3 weeks, get a rib guard that what I'm saying still hurts, but still be out there just because he loves the game and he's tough, man. You know what I'm saying? And make crazy catches. Like it's just wild because he does it in practice. You know what I'm saying? He does it in practice, does it in the game, but he's just like super tough, like great guy, like great teammate, but just like his toughness is just unmatched. Like something that like I hope that I can take like it once I get in my later years of playing that I can use that same toughness, just like not even just for football, but for life too. Because like he dealt with a lot too, but like you know what I'm saying, this just also this mental toughness, just being a tough guy, a great guy, and better person.
What's on the pregame playlist, JB?
Pre-game playlist. Let's see. I had just made a new playlist this year. It was game day. That's what it's called. That's the picture.
There we go.
I start off very chill. The highs and the lows, Chance the Rapper. Then I go Keep Dissing by Real Boston Richie. Then I got Don't Get Me Started. You know what's funny? I heard this song. I didn't even know what it was, but I heard it in Toronto. I'm like, well, this song's fire. I have to go get this right now. It's Big League by Yo Gotti, Moneybagg, and CMG. And then honestly, what's funny enough, so I'll do that like when I first get out there. Then like I have like this like gospel playlist when I get back in because I can't get too high. You know what I'm saying? I don't like to get too high too low. So like when I get back in, I have to listen to Blessings by Chance the Rapper. It's so funny. Like that's like my like go-to, like the coach is literally coming into the locker room. Like that's the last song I'm playing before I walk out on the stadium is Blessings by Chance the Rapper. But that's usually my pregame playlist.
That's interesting because you hear a lot of guys and it's everything to like pump them up and like get ready to go, and they're like they want to have that like high twitch ready right off the bat. But like it's nice that like you go up and then you come back down a little bit so that you're not flying high right away and moving at 150%.
Exactly. Like when I'm first out there, like pregame, I'm turned up. Like you know what I'm saying? It's a lot of like Lil Durk and King Von and like G Herbo, stuff like that. But when I'm, it's funny because I make a total switch to like Fred Hampton and like Chance the Rapper and Kurt Franklin. Like when I get back in the locker room, I'm like, okay, I'm riled up, but let's chill out. And then obviously going back out there again, I'm gonna be riled up again. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like just riding the wave.
Do you have like a
oh, sorry, go ahead.
Do you have like a Chicago only playlist, like only Chicago guys that you ride with?
I was just about to say
like, is that like because like Chance the Rapper, obviously from Chicago, but is there like a playlist where it's like these are Chicago guys? Not even like pregame, just anytime. Like sometimes you get in that mood. It's like I just want to listen to guys, Chicago guys
from the town. No, I wouldn't say I don't have a Chicago playlist, but like a lot of my playlist is made up of guys, like Lil Zay Osama, like it's just a lot of ESTG, PGF Nook, Polo G, it's a lot of, but then you got to have your Drakes in there. Shout out Toronto.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it's just like Kanye West. I really like Kanye West. I don't know if I can, but I do still like Kanye West. I'm still
You
Kanye
posted
West
your
fan.
Spotify Wrapped at the end of the year, and it's like #3 artist, and it's like crossed out. It's blacked out.
Yeah.
Everybody did that this year.
Yeah.
Everybody was like,
Don't
we
worry
won't talk
that.
about who my third most listened to was, but like everybody's third most listened to was. Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
You know.
I have one more teammate question before we wind down here. One of my favorite things about when I was in BC was the plane rides with Lucky Whitehead. Could you just give a little bit of insight of what that was like? You know, just
so funny. Bro is Lucky's the biggest character I've ever come around like in my life. And the fact that his name is Lucky is just so fitting. But yeah, like for me being, you know, a Chicago guy, like back when the Bears used to do Club Dub, like when they would win and they would have like a club in the locker room, like the Dub party. That's kind of what I would feel like win or lose, like that's what the plane ride was. Like, because I'll never forget like when he was helping the lady serve the chicken butter or whatever it was, like the steak. You know what I'm saying? It was just so funny. They used to be so turned up. They have a speaker back there. You know what I'm saying? They be lit back there. And you know, me, I'm asleep, or at least trying to sleep the best I can. But nah, it was definitely a fun experience. Like it was definitely a real, like I just got to give it to, like, that was just a great locker room. You know what I'm saying? It was a great locker room. There was a lot of good guys, a lot of good energy. And I feel like when you have a great locker room, you have guys that like genuinely care about each other, guys that are like generally like friends off the field and like, you know, hang out. I feel like that's what wins those, you know, fourth quarter games when, you know what I'm saying, when like your body's hurting or if you know what I'm saying, you're not feeling well, you playing for the guys. Like it's been plenty times where like I've been banged up, but I'm like, bro, I don't want to let this guy down. That's my dog. You know what I'm saying? Like, you feel me? So just, it was always, they did a really good job at BC of just making it a really good atmosphere and letting us like just kind of be ourselves, a really cool team atmosphere.
You got a good Lucky story though?
A good Lucky story?
That you're allowed to tell?
It would have to be that chicken butter story when like the ladies was trying to serve I forgot where we were coming from. It was far because we had like the meals. It was probably like a Montreal, Toronto, or Ottawa trip, but
somewhere east.
Just he was helping them like serve the meals, like, and it was so funny. It was like chicken butter or steak, and then they ran out of chicken butter, but everybody wanted the chicken butter. He's like, we ain't got no more chicken butter. Like we out of chicken butter. You know what I'm saying? Like there's nothing I can do. Like we got steak. That's it. Like no more chicken butter. Like, but like it just, I feel like people only wanted chicken butter, just like how Lucky was saying. He was making it sound like it was so good. So like we need the chicken butter, but like they ran out. So that was probably my funniest Lucky story though, for sure. Definitely on the plane rides back where he helped the ladies serve the meals. That was funny.
It's amazing.
That's incredible. Well, James, we won't take up any more of your time. Thanks for this. Appreciate it. That's a hot start to our HOC pod here. You're the
I'm excited for
incredible first guest. Incredible first guest. Like that was amazing. So thank you. Yeah, James Butler, thank you very much for joining us. We know you're in the middle of free agency right now. We won't ask you about where you're going, but best of luck, and we can't wait to see you on the field next season and wherever you are. The four of us here will be cheering for you loud and proud.
Yeah, for sure. Appreciate y'all, man. Appreciate y'all having me. It means a lot. I'm glad we could finally do this, man. I'm excited to see where you guys take this. You know, I'm a podcaster myself, so it's good to
shout out the podcast. Shout out podcast.
You know what I'm saying? Kind of got me want to get back in my podcast bag, but that's awesome. But I'm excited for you guys.
Appreciate it, James. Thank you. All right, that's James Butler, free agent running back in the Canadian Football League. Of course, had a big year with the BC Lions, but like as we talked about, how could you not have a big year with the offense that they put out on the field? Everybody showed up. JB showed up. We heard him talk about Mackey, right? They put in a fullback at running back when JB gets hurt, and he runs for 100 yards. Like, it's insane how well that offense moved the ball. They go to the West Final. They lose to Winnipeg. Winnipeg loses the Grey Cup to Toronto. But I mean, BC, I know Nathan Rourke is a special guy, but I feel like they can build something special. Everything just depends on, like we talked about off the top, free agents, and JB's an important piece to that BC team. It'll be interesting to see where he signs. I know we didn't really talk about it with him because, you know, it's not our place. He doesn't want to announce where he's going to sign as a free agent right now, but it's going to be interesting because wherever he goes, it's going to be a team that's going to enjoy him.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And I really enjoy, getting a little bit of insight into, his love for reading and his meditation. Just a lot of those things that you just find out about people, just talking to them. So it was really interesting getting to know him. I played with JB. I never got to get to know him as much as I did this interview, and it was really insightful. Really insightful. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I was a big fan. He was really well spoken. The way he carried himself was really good. So it's definitely one of the favorite interviews I've done so far with a CFL player.
Yeah,
Yes,
he's a
sir.
good dude. He came across well. Malcolm, thank you so much for getting him. That was awesome.
Yeah, no problem. JB's my guy. I've known him since 2014, and we've been teammates, friends. So getting him on here and watching him even grow as a man, it was cool. So yeah,
Those
Well, I
cold
think that
plunges,
was
eh?
cold plunges, yes
I
sir.
can't do it.
You got to get
can't
on
do
them.
it.
They're nice. They feel good. I'm team cold plunge too. So
I need something for my back. My back kills all the time.
You know what
there,
though?
it's right
I
there.
might dabble with the cold plunge.
Yeah.
He made it sound enticing. I won't lie.
Yeah,
it's
and then
nice.
you try it and you're like, never again.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. This guy's built different. Maybe that one's not for me. Well, that was a great start to the first episode, boys. JB was a great guest. Appreciate having him on. We wish him the best of luck wherever he ends up this season. Looking forward to building this podcast with the three of you guys, the HOC Pod, House of CFL, Showtime Digital, Eat 'em Raw. This is going to be a lot of fun. We're looking forward to it, and even more incredible interviews and guests coming up soon.
Yeah. Appreciate
Excited,
you
man.
for being the voice, man. Love
Yes,
love hearing you talk. Love hearing you talk, J-Mo.
All right, we'll see you next time. This has been the HOC Pod. Jack, Josh, Alfred, and Malcolm. We'll see you for episode 2 shortly.
yes, sir.